Well, welcome, Keenan,
Thank you.
to the podcast and also to Singapore.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
Yeah, we have heard about you for a while now, and we're really, really excited to have you on our show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you've done amazingly for yourself since you debuted in 2020.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to start off the podcast by introducing you. So to our audiences who don't know Keenan, he is an Asian Australian singer-songwriter and also TikTok creator with
Yes.
over 2 million followers on TikTok and Spotify. And I'm not just bringing up for the numbers. I personally think that's very, very impressive.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's
so-
so surreal.
Yeah, so I wanted to know, can you tell me a bit about how you got started and your music journey so far?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've loved music ever since I can remember. Singing and playing piano, it's always just become like such a natural thing for me. So I've loved music for a really long time, but it's only really been in the last 2 years where it's become a full-time career for me, which has been really exciting. I started posting covers on TikTok at the start of the pandemic in 2020,
Right.
and I was very lucky that my first few TikTok videos went viral overnight, and that was just a weird experience. I had never experienced anything like that before. I remember after this one video that I posted, it was Britney Spears' "Hit Me Baby One More
Oh my
Time."
gosh, I love it. I love
And
that.
it got 7 or 8 million views overnight. And I remember my phone vibrating so hard in the middle of the night that it woke me up. And it was
Just vibrating itself onto the floor.
it was literally buzzing so hard, and I remember looking at the screen and the notifications were flying in.
Oh my gosh.
I've obviously
Surreal.
turned off my
Yeah, after
notifications
that.
since then. But yeah, ever since that moment, I really wanted to treat TikTok strategically, and I knew that my end goal was always to be an artist. So I wanted to use a TikTok as a way to kind of catapult me towards that goal. So I was really strategic about it. I started posting 7 or 8 videos a day on TikTok, and that was at a time where everyone was stuck in their houses.
Yep.
So everyone was consuming social media and content way more than usual. So I think posting a lot really helped me kind of get to 1 million followers in less than a year, and then now 2 million. But yeah, ever since I kind of realized that there were people out there that cared about my singing and me, I started teasing my songwriting. And it was when I released my first proper song, Dependent, and that the response there was just incredible.
I love that track.
Thank you so much.
It's so heartfelt.
Thank you. It was so cool to see so many people relate to the song, and a song that I had written at 3 a.m. in my bedroom, now millions of people are responding to it and loving it. So that was a really cool feeling. And then ever since then, I've just been releasing music and sharing my story through my songs, and it's just been, it's my dream career. It's been amazing.
That's so cool. To
Thank
hear
you.
that you came from really not having any expectations.
Yeah.
But then really being able to pivot overnight.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something really key, which is you started to treat TikTok strategically, which I don't think it's a bad thing at all. And I think that a lot of artists, maybe they do feel that it's a bad thing to, spend so much time content creating rather than focusing on the music process. And
Yeah.
you mentioned that you spent, at the beginning you were posting really, really consistently. What do you feel about the balance between spending time on the creative process of songwriting and, honing your craft
Yeah.
and the importance of honing your presence on social media and spending that time engaging with your audiences?
I think they are both equally as important. I think that it is really important to perfect your craft. And I've always said that I want to make sure that the songs that I release are as close to perfect as I can get them. And I always want to be 110% proud of what I'm putting out. So it's really important to, perfect your craft and practice and spend time improving. But it's equally as important to connect with people around the world. I think if you want to turn this into a career, then, fans are such a big part of it. Fans are
Exactly.
pretty much what makes or breaks your career. So making sure that you're engaged with them and creating a really open and safe space for them to be in is really, really important. So I think both are just as important. And I know that social media sometimes gets a bad rap, but in this day and age, like, social media is so valuable, especially as independent artists. I feel that now more than ever, independent artists have such, like, more of a level playing field when it comes to releasing music, as compared to people on labels and stuff, because you can literally write a song, produce it out, post it for free on social media, and gain an audience from that.
Yeah.
And it's like, so valuable. So I think both are equally as important, for sure.
I think it's you're right in that the process has become like more democratic, and now we see that like a lot of labels, they are just trying to feed off what you guys are creating.
Exactly right.
Even the platforms themselves, because I actually work in distribution, so
Right.
like we work closely with all the platforms, and at the end of the day, when I talk to them and I see what kinds of things they're asking from artists, they don't know what they want. They want like the secret sauce that you guys have.
Yeah.
So it really becomes down to like how you are creating that very unique engagement with your audiences, which I think is like something you do really, really well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I was wondering, like, you mentioned engaging is so important,
Yeah.
and creating that safe space is really important. Like, what's your secret sauce, or like, what's your way of like engaging with them?
Yeah. I think, I mean, I can't give away all my secrets,
No,
but
it's fine. We
I think
understand.
the number one thing is to be authentically you. I feel that people have followed me because they're interested in finding out who I am and what my story is. So I think just, I'm just myself. Like, I post random stuff sometimes on my Instagram, and I try to be as raw and authentic as possible, and really let my fans into my life in a way that lets them get to know me as an artist, but also me as a person. I think that one key thing is to really know your audience and to know what kind of things they like, what kind of content they want to see. And I've found that when I treat because I see all my fans as like my new family, so I treat them as I would treat my friends or my family.
Right.
So that, stuff like showing the music that I'm working on that hasn't been released, for example, like, that is such, and I feel like it's such an intimate thing to share with the world.
It's scary.
Yeah, and it can be really scary, but I think that has really helped, kind of creating that connection with your fans, that's more than just a fan-artist relationship. Yeah.
That's really deep.
We're getting deep.
We are. I mean, like, I think you really hit the nail on the head. Like, creating something that's outside of a fan-artist relationship, it means, like, you as the creator are, like, redefining your relationship with the other people listening. And I think that's a power that only creatives have. So that's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think in terms of your music, because you mentioned that you listen a lot to what your fans have to say about your music and about what kind of content they want to see you create. But I also feel that you create your music from like a very like personal place. So how much do your fans influence the actual, songs that you're writing, like the kind of music that you write?
I think every time that I write, I do have in the back of my mind, like, is this something that people can relate to? I think that's something that I have really tried to achieve with my music, is like, I want to share my story, and I know that I've gone through a lot of things that a lot of people can relate to. So I want to kind of make music that helps people in their own situations. Even with my song Scars, it was about a romantic relationship, but I've seen on TikTok people relating it to other kinds of relationships, like their friends or whoever it may be. So I try to write about things that I've gone through, but a lot of the times these things can be kind of shifted, and people can take it how they want to take it. So yeah, I'm definitely always thinking whether or not this is something that people will be able to relate to for sure.
I see. And speaking of your new song, Scars, like
Yes.
it's so catchy.
Thank
I love
you.
it so much. Like
Thank
it's
you
just
so much.
playing through my head all the time.
Thank
but
you.
I think that you did a really, really good job in actually converting people from, your TikTok following into, following you on streaming platforms and things like that.
Thank
and
you.
listening to the song and streaming the song. So can you share a little bit about like your thought process in terms of like the rollout, like the content strategy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely a big strategy that I have always stuck by is making sure that my social media posts and content reflects who I am as an artist, and it also reminds people that I am an artist. I see a lot of musicians try to catch viral moments by jumping on trends and stuff like that, and that's super fun. But for me personally, I've found that making sure that every single video that I post is singing or music related kind of lets me control what kind of people are following me.
Yep.
So people that follow me want the music
This kind of
content.
content.
They want singing content.
Yeah.
They want to know what songs I'm writing. And I think that's been a huge factor in kind of creating a social fan base, but then also seeing that translate over to streaming as well.
Yeah, but I think that you make it seem so easy, but it's really not. Like, I think that being able to find the right people is one thing, but you know how, because you started doing covers.
Yes.
And then moved into that space, and I feel that you did that move from covers to like original content like really seamlessly.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I see a lot of people on TikTok, like creators and amazing musicians who, started from covers, but they sometimes even do posts where they're like, this is my like 100th day of like trying to show you my own music, but it's just not really relating in the same way.
Yeah.
So how do you like, is there anything else about that conversion of like people who are liking you as a cover artist and like moving them over into like liking your original music? Do you think it's the same audience that you're bringing on the journey with you, or is it a different audience?
I think it's a mix of both. I think the same audience, and I'm very grateful to be able to say this, but the same audience that found me for my covers have supported me now with my original music, and I get a lot of messages of people being like, I used to watch your covers and and now I love your music, and that's such a nice full circle moment. I think it comes down to that relationship that you create with your fans at any point in time. Like I said, I've always tried to be as real and authentic. So even when I was posting covers, people were getting to know me as a person. So it's kind of like, when if your friend decides to now release music, like you're gonna naturally want to support them.
Right.
But it also does bring in new followers and new fans. People that don't necessarily like watching covers, but like original music. And we were having a conversation earlier, like the need for original music, I feel, has grown so much.
It's amazing you feel that way.
Yeah, I really feel that more and more people are more willing to, find new artists and support them. I think it is also a bit of a trial and error as well. A lot of time and planning and thought has gone into kind of that conversion from just a cover artist to now an original music artist. And just like, being strategic, seeing what works, trialing it all out, and you'll find it out eventually.
I think there's a certain level of discipline that's needed as well.
Definitely. There's been a lot of hours of hard work and planning and discipline for sure to try and make that jump for sure.
Well, I think that other than being, really prolific right now in the online space, you are also like a really good live musician.
Thank you.
So can you share a little bit about, how you feel like, because you started during COVID, right?
Yes.
Before that, did you have a lot of like live experience?
Yes.
And did that help you a lot in your whole journey?
Yeah. So growing up, my parents used to drive me all around Melbourne to any performance that I could do. I would sign up and I would do it.
Amazing.
I remember when I was 15, it was my first live public performance. It was a like a festival that was held by the council that was
Right.
for those suburbs, and the crowd was literally my family, the two organizers, and then maybe like
Aw.
two people that were walking past.
Bless them.
And you know, my parents used to drive me around on the weekends to do those kinds of
Yeah.
performances. And I mean, I didn't know it at the time, but I feel like every single performance kind of gets you ready, and you're like constantly practicing, and you're constantly kind of perfecting your craft. So when I was younger, I literally, any performance that I could do, I would try and sign up and do it. And it's cool to see things that I didn't even realize at the time, but little performances or opportunities that I had as a little 16-year-old kind of snowball into me
Yeah.
now.
For sure.
And I still have people that come up to me or message me being like, oh, like I remember watching you at whatever
At just some random
at some random event
Yeah.
when you were 16 and like was just hitting puberty, and you know, and it's like I feel like everything happens for a reason, and even if it doesn't feel like it's your dream career in the moment, I feel like everything kind of contributes and molds together.
Wow, what a journey. And your parents are so supportive
Yes.
to do that for you.
I've been so blessed to have a really supportive system and family around me. I think they've always known and could see that I loved music and I loved singing ever since before I could even talk.
Right.
So yeah, my parents have always been really supportive of my career.
That's so great. And speaking of like the live experience, like I think that brings a different dimension to like when you create content as well, right?
Yes.
And like I think a lot of musicians nowadays don't have that, like especially in Singapore, because there like during COVID it was very, very restricted, like
Yeah.
live performances. So a lot of musicians that have come out during this time like are not confident live artists.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the live like experience is a very, very important part of like, you know, continuing your music journey and like continuing to build that relationship with your fans?
Definitely. I am actually just starting out to do live stuff as an original artist. And it's been amazing. Like I had a sold out show in my hometown a week ago.
Oh, I think I saw that on
Yeah,
TikTok.
and it was incredible to hear everyone sing my lyrics
Back
like
to you.
back to me word for word.
Aw.
But I definitely feel that, you know, them being able to see me in person, watch me perform, hear my story, and kind of see how passionate I am about my music is a whole different experience for
Yeah.
them. And, you know, you can post as much as you post
Yeah.
online, but when you meet your fans face to face, it's a whole different thing. I held a little spontaneous meet and greet in Singapore yesterday.
Yes.
And it was
Totally.
just amazing to see people in person for the first time, and also like get to know them, hear, and like so many people were saying, you know, your music has helped me and stuff like that. And it's just like strengthening that personal connection, I think, with your fans. So yeah, it's definitely a really important part.
That's so great to hear. I think a lot of people need to have that mindset, because for me, like, I mean, it's not really about, you know, the fangirling or something like that, but it's like when you are experiencing someone singing live, you get all the dimensions
Exactly.
of that experience.
Yes.
Not just the person singing, but like, you know, how they engage with the audience, and
Yeah.
even the atmosphere of being there with like your friends, maybe they're
Yeah.
fans of them as well. It just like everything just comes together, and it
Definitely.
creates like this bond which you won't forget as easily than just like swiping through
Exactly.
someone on TikTok. So I think that's really great that you have that mindset.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have one last question for you,
Yes.
which is that, you know, as I mentioned, there's so many young musicians who are starting out in their bedrooms nowadays.
Yes.
On TikTok, on social media.
We love it.
Yeah, trying to make it. Do you have any advice for them?
I think my biggest piece of advice for aspiring musicians is to just keep persevering and keep going. I think that, you know, the music industry or any industry for that matter is very cutthroat, and there are going to be a lot of no's and a lot of closed doors. And I know even in my short career span, there's been a lot of missed opportunities and things that I wish I had gotten, but it just didn't work out. But I think that everything happens for a reason. And if you keep going, you're eventually going to reach those goals. And, you know, I'm a big believer that one closed door just means that you weren't meant to go in that direction.
Yep.
So I think the biggest thing is just to keep going and to keep practicing and keep doing what you love. I feel like when you're really passionate about your own music, a no is not as hurtful because you're really like strong in
your own belief.
Exactly. And you know exactly who you are as an artist. You know what you can bring to the table. So I think just to keep going.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for being here and for
Of
giving
course.
all this advice. Like,
Thank you so much for having me.
Nuggets of gold coming out of your mouth every single time. Thank you so much for being on our podcast, and like I
course.
hope you really enjoy the rest of your time in Singapore.
Thank you so much. It was great to speak to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.